Hi everyone, we are here at Festival Foods. I'm Amy and I'm joined today by Andrew and...
Hi, I'm Lauren. I am one of your mealtime mentors and registered dietitians.
And we're going to talk this week, as you can tell from the way a few of us are dressed, about Packers. Because of last week's win in Dallas, we have another opportunity to watch football again this weekend, which means another opportunity for home gating shopping, which means another opportunity to peruse our wine and spirits department.
Yeah.
And that's why we gathered Andrew up from his responsibilities downstairs, because he's just one of the many experts that we have here at Festival Foods to answer all sorts of questions that you might have. And we know when it comes to game day, people are entertaining folks and trying to take care of a wide variety of needs and tastes. So I think that makes for a perfect time to talk about our Pick Six program. So Pick Six, Andrew, what is it?
Pick Six is exactly what it sounds like. It's our variety of beers that we chose that you can mix together in your own six-pack, and then it costs you $8.99, and you can choose a little bit of everything to make everybody happy whoever comes over for the games.
And right from the door of our wine and spirits department in the coolers, you can grab your case, get it unfolded, and just kind of pick away, right?
Yeah. All of the shelves are kind of set up. The top shelf normally here at the North Store is going to be your seasonal beers. In the middle is going to be like your Leinenkugels, Wisconsin stuff, and then underneath that will be craft. And then towards the bottom will be more of your alternatives, your hard sodas, hard seltzers, now your probably true beer, stuff like that.
Great. And just to remind everyone, thank you to those of you who are just joining us. We're at Festival Foods. We're a grocer in Wisconsin, and today we're talking to you live from our store on Green Bay's north side, and Green Bay being the home of the Green Bay Packers, who are playing this weekend in the NFC Championship game against the Hawks. And we wanted to give people options for beers, not only for themselves drinking, but for those that might be hosting on game day. So Lauren, I know you and I stopped down at the wine and spirits department and we kind of built our own Pick Six, which was pretty fun. But you being kind of a beer connoisseur, what are some of the go-to ones that you pick when it comes to game day selection?
Sure. So Andrew and I were talking before this that most of my beers are Wisconsin beers. So I'm a big proponent of drinking local, and we're so lucky in Wisconsin, and even specifically Green Bay and Madison and some of the other cities in the state where we have tons of breweries. In Green Bay alone, we have 5 breweries, which is fantastic. So lots of Wisconsin beers. So a couple that I picked, of course, Titletown Green 19. Here in Rogers, Green 19, huh? So that's what we've got here. Love this one. This is an IPA, so it's a little bit hoppier. So it's one of those beers that you kind of maybe work up to. If you're just starting with craft beer, it might be a little too bitter, but IPAs are really awesome.
And Lauren mentioned the craft beer phenomenon that we are currently experiencing. I'm guessing people often ask you questions about what it is, or do you have kind of good introduction beer?
Yeah, it's all about what you're used to drinking. Your average Bud Light, Miller Lite kind of guy probably isn't going to want to dive headfirst into an IPA. They are quite bitter, but then they might be more into like a Hefeweizen or like a lager, which is way more milder. People who enjoy coffee, they might want to dive into your porters and your stouts, stuff like that has that big, rich, dark caramel coffee kind of flavor to it. IPAs are always a really good starting point too. They're light. They do have the bitterness, but they have some citrus feel to it too. Easily the most popular right now of all of the craft beer movements.
Yeah, and Green 19 I think is specifically just an awesome IPA.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like we have some new people. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure you'll be thrilled to hear that we're talking beer, and we're talking great ways to enjoy some different types of beers. Obviously being winter, I think the heavier, darker beers are pretty popular right now, but hugely popular, no matter what time of year, seems to be these hard ciders. Yeah. And I grabbed a Henry's Hard, but that must be something that you get asked about pretty frequently.
Yeah, they're considered to be like a malternative. It's still brewed like a beer. It's still considered to be a beer, but just a lot more fruit flavor to it. You're going to lose a lot of that what people call that beer type flavor. What you have is the grape. It's brand new, just rolled out in the beginning of the month. So that's one of their flagship was obviously the orange. That was like the big popular one. So the grape one is going to be a huge one for them. It's awesome. Anybody who enjoys that grape soda is right up there with the grape crushes and stuff like that.
And it's another prime example, and it's in our. I grabbed it to go in my pick six, so you don't have to grab an entire six pack of orange flavored malt beverages or grape. You can change it up. And I know Lauren and I talked too about a few other options that are along these lines.
Yeah, so these are also newer, from what I've heard. These are the truly sparkling, spiked and sparkling is what they're called. So this is a pomegranate flavor. So essentially, it's a flavored water, a sparkling water that also has some alcohol. So for those of us that are, maybe going to be drinking throughout the day and you kind of want to pace yourself, if you will, these are just 100 calories. They're a little bit lower in alcohol, and they're actually just very refreshing. And I know Emily, one of our mealtime mentors, she especially loves these because they're also gluten-free. So if you're looking for something a little different to drink on game day, especially for those of us who can't eat gluten, this is a perfect option.
And it sounds like we have someone saying hello.
Yes, Clay is saying hello to everyone. He's loving the setup you guys have.
Oh, good. And we love talking about beer, so we all win, right?
Who doesn't like beer, right?
Lauren mentioned the great selection we have of Wisconsin beers, and outside of Green Bay too.
Yes, yep. So one of my favorite breweries is Ale Asylum. So they are in the Madison area, and they have their Hopalicious is a very famous IPA. But I recently tried this Madtown Nut Brown, and it's a little bit darker, like we were talking about before. So it's kind of got some of those nice flavors, a little bit darker, but not completely like a porter or something like that. So I think this is one of my new favorite beers.
And Andrew, you had talked about kind of making the leap from a traditional Miller Lite, Bud Light to something a little bit different. I know popular in my house is the Goose Island 312.
Yeah.
That strikes me as kind of a nice entry point
Yep,
as well.
yep. That's exactly that's that urban wheat. It's that wheat flavor that a lot of the current beers like the Bud Lights, Miller Lite words like have that flavor to it. So yeah, it's a great entry, and it's a little nicer than just drinking that standard light beer all the time.
Right.
So yes, 312 it's Goose Island's flagship. They're out of Chicago. It's a really nice, light, easy to drink beer. So.
Cool. And I know too, we were talking about some more fruity options, and I grabbed the Wild Blue Blueberry Lager. It's my family back in Ohio is big fans of this one, and you might get some questions about this too.
Yeah, it's another alternative. It's brewed with it's typical beer, but then they dump a lot of blueberry into it. It's really good. It is a little high octane at 8% alcohol, so make sure you only have one or two. Unless
It's perfect for the
you're
home
really
gating
celebrating the game.
option.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. And Lauren, we talked about some Green Bay options. We would be remiss if we didn't talk about our friends at Stillmank.
Yeah, this is their tailgater. So how appropriate for this weekend.
Yes, they're a tailgater beer option, but they're also, at least in this area, super famous for Wisco Disco as well.
Oh yeah, that's a great beer too. Nice and light and refreshing.
What else do you have in your pick six?
I've got an MKE beer. This is Louise Demise. This is an amber. So it's one of my favorite beers. Again, easier to drink, but a little different style, just to change it up a little bit. I've also got Anape Brewing, so in Algoma, a little town outside of Green Bay. They're two stalls, so this is a chocolate milk stout. So like we were talking about before, some of those porters, stouts, some more chocolatey coffee flavors, if that is your style. And then the last one I have is a gluten-free beer. So Andrew was just showing me downstairs all of these new gluten-free beers that are available. You want to talk a little bit about this one? This is new to me.
Yeah, so Sharts Brewing's out of Michigan. They fairly new to the state. I think they've been here maybe 6 months. They don't necessarily brew with the gluten-free ingredients, but they remove the gluten out of their product. So you're not going to have some of those weird flavors. So people who, maybe who have realized that they're celiac and used to love beer and now they can't do beer, but didn't really care for some of the other ones like the Newcrest and the Redbridge. This is a really good alternative to that because they're still using the same products, just removing the gluten out of them before they brew it. So.
And there were a couple other ones too, right?
Yeah. So New Belgium has the Glutenies, and then Omission. Those guys have a pale, a golden, and a lager as well. So
that's awesome. What a great thing for the craft beer scene.
And it looks like we have a comment.
Yes, Brittany was wondering, I know you mentioned the gluten-free beer. Are there any other options as well for gluten-free beer?
Yeah, so obviously with gluten-free, any of your hard ciders are going to be considered gluten-free as well. So Angry Orchard, Woodchuck, I mean, slips right first.
Cider Boys.
Thank you. Those are all going to be gluten-free as well. The thing you want to make sure when you're buying those is that it says hard cider and not apple ale. Where a Red's Apple Ale is a beer that they put apple into, that still is going to contain gluten. Where a hard cider, the main thing you ferment is the apple itself, so there is no wheat or any kind of gluten in that product.
So more like this.
Right, well this is actually a beer. That's actually going to have the gluten in it. The key word there is going to be the ale. So if it says hard cider, it's 99% of the time it's gluten-free. If it says apple ale, it's probably not going to be. Also, when it comes to Mike's Hard Lemonade, their light hard lemonade and their light cranberry lemonade are also gluten-free. So that's one of those things people don't realize too, because they think malt and can't drink them, but yeah, the lights are okay to drink as well.
Or even some twisted teas, and I mean, that area is just growing.
Yeah, the whole alternative craze, the whole hard cider craze, that area has grown tenfold in the last year. So.
Well, and I think too, it's a prime example of how knowledgeable our associates are. So if you're newly diagnosed or you want to try something that's gluten-free, somebody like Andrew in our wine and spirits departments across the state are going to be able to walk you through different options, perhaps give you some suggestions of things that you like, or if you tell them I like this or I'm having this to eat. We're going to be talking food too, but you probably know a little bit about pairing as well.
Yeah, I've maybe done a little pairing myself. But yeah, we know quite a bit. So I mean, we always encourage people to come in and ask us. We're more than happy to help when you come into the stores.
And pairing is one thing, origin is another thing. We know firsthand, Lauren, that people want to know where these things come from. And we want to give a quick shout out to our new followers who just jumped on. We have the fortunate responsibility this afternoon of talking about beer and your beer options for some NFL football games this weekend. We're dressed in our Packers attire, so coming to you from our store on Green Bay North Side at Festival Foods. Andrew can talk about or answer questions of any guests that come in that want to know where something is from. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, so I would be remiss if I did not give a shout out to Great Lakes Brewing Company that just joined our lineup within the last several months. Yeah. They're pretty new. Not new to me in growing up in this area, but in terms of kind of an ale that's delicious, and I'm a fan of dark beer myself, so I grabbed both their Edmund Fitzgerald, which is their porter, and I grabbed their Elliot Ness, which is their amber lager. Both fantastic, and I think too really gives Andrew an opportunity to talk about different breweries and the different operations that you guys see firsthand when this stuff comes in. We were talking about Door County being another brewery that we host.
Yeah, the craft beer movement over the last 5 years has exploded. Lauren was really right on it when she said that we are really lucky to be in this area. Granted, there's all over the country, it's going crazy, but we have some really killer ones. And it's exciting when we get some from other states that come in that aren't necessarily Colorado or California. It's fun to get stuff from these smaller breweries that are actually being able to make their way this direction. So, yeah, everyone has their own story and has their own, their own lines of yeast that they use to brew with and their own products and locally sourced things. And I could go on for a 3-hour live session just about how awesome this stuff is. So, it's pretty cool. I mean, for people who love craft beer, we are right in the heart of it right now. So.
Good. It sounds like we have a comment.
Yes, one of our viewers would like to know what you would recommend for a good seasonal craft beer right now.
Well, right now your seasonal craft beers tend to be on the darker side. If you're not a huge fan of dark beers, if you hang out for like maybe a month, you're going to start getting into your amber box and the doppel box, which are kind of like a medium body. But
I got to talk about one of my favorites.
Go ahead.
Luna Coffee Stout from Hinterland Brewery right here in Green Bay. Probably one of the first breweries that I found when I moved here almost 10 years ago. And I have to say, probably one of the best stouts that I've had. But it sounds like you have encountered a few that are equally as good.
Oh yeah. So I mean, when you're talking about your dark beers like that, right now Blue Moon has a cappuccino oatmeal stout, which is their seasonal. Absolutely phenomenal if you're a big dark coffee fan. Unfortunately, like I said, if you're not that kind of a fan, the season isn't the best one for you. But right now, if you come into our pick stick section, our whole top shelf is pretty much all of your seasonals. I mean, Sam Adams, Nuclearis, all those guys all have their seasonals out, which are porters and stouts and your dark rich, chocolatey coffee type flavors. So.
And I will say too, I think a lot of people think, oh, I don't like dark beer, it's heavy, and there's just some misconceptions probably about dark beer. So that's what's so great about the Pick 6, is you can try one, ask Andrew or another wine spirit associate for some help or some suggestions, and give it a try, because you actually might surprise yourself.
Yes, and that's the beautiful thing, number one, that you can try these different options. It's almost like a rainbow of beer, right? From all the way from really light yellow to like really dark brown. You got the reds in there and everything else. And it's not a big commitment. I mean, it's $9 to try 6 different beers without feeling like, you know, you got to shove something in the back of the fridge and you're never really going to touch it. So I think that's a really good option. So we'll bring you back when we're going to change seasons and perhaps be talking spring and summer options when
absolutely.
we go really light. I think.
Yeah. That's when your lagers and your Hefeweizens and your flavored beers, your shandies, all those are rolling out pretty soon after spring and into summer. So.
Well, we'll definitely be looking forward to that. So thanks, Andrew, for joining us.
No problem.
Hope you'll stay with us a little bit longer as we talk about not just the beer part, which I think we covered, but the food part as well. And I think across the store, you have so many options for game day. And I think, too, one thing that we do really well is helping with having things ready, right? Because the last thing you want to be doing is be stuck in a kitchen, can't watch the game, or God forbid, you're in one of those houses where like the kitchen TV is on like a different time.
No.
right. Like I'm not listening, or you get trapped in the kitchen and something happens and you have to stay there for the rest of the game. I hate when that happens too. Which is great about something like our offerings from the deli or the meat department, that you can have things prepped and ready to go and done. But I think too, now we have the fortunate responsibility of hosting, perhaps again, the second straight home game week, and maybe you want to do something a little different than just burgers and fries.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where, I mean, the game is several hours long, and maybe you're, having some people over before the game and people stay a little bit after, so you really have to feed a large amount of people for quite some time. So a great thing is, one of my favorite things to do is make chili. We have an 8-ingredient chili recipe on our blog, so that's bestfoods.com/blog. It's a super easy recipe, but everybody loves chili, and it's one that you can just throw in the crock pot. You can cook it in the crock pot, but then keep it just on warm or on low throughout the afternoon, so people can kind of eat as they like. So that's a really easy thing, and you can kind of do a chili bar and maybe have some toppings. We got our cheese and our onions and all that good stuff too.
And you have options within chili too. You can do the turkey option. I know we do ground chicken, so it's not necessarily like just beef and that's it.
Awesome.
So we've got new followers, so welcome to those of you who are just jumping on. We are at the Festival Foods on Green Bay's north side, and since we're in Green Bay, we're talking about the Packers game and how you can get ready at home, whether it's finishing up your shopping list. We were talking about a few options in our wine and spirits department as well for those Pick 6 options, because let's face it, not all of us have family members with the exact same taste and beverage.
No. And it's fun to try different beers.
Yes, and you were just mentioning the chili bar. We also have plenty of options for a Bloody Mary bar too.
Oh yes, we've got a video on our blog for Bloody Marys. And I just noticed downstairs, walking through the produce department, we've got a whole display for Bloody Marys. So we're making it really easy for lots of different options for game day. So we were talking about chili, which is great to put in a crock pot because then people can kind of eat throughout the day. Another fun and I'll say better for you option as far as nachos go, we've got a couple different options. So walking tacos is really fun. So those are great because you can just grab some chips. It's kind of like nachos, but you can put them in a bag or just grab the chips in a small individual size bag and just have all the toppings out, or people can kind of make their own. So you can put in the ground meats Amy was talking about. You can use the ground turkey. We have a great turkey beef blend in our meat department, which is awesome if you want to, make it a little bit leaner but not go all the way to turkey. That's one of my favorite items. And we've got ground chicken and then really all the toppings to go with it. And all you have to do is set out a fork. You don't need dishes, which is also really nice. We definitely want to minimize the cleanup for game day. So that's a really fun option too.
And, she mentioned walking tacos. I think any kind of snack option that you're going to give people, because let's face it, the way that these Packers games have gone over the past month, nobody's really sitting down and quietly eating.
Oh, no.
It's very suspenseful and stressful. So, everything from the nachos to the chili. And since we're talking beer too, it's a good opportunity for us to mention something like a lager or a stout that we mentioned goes really well with something like a chili.
So and there are lots of even recipes where you can substitute the water for beer if you want to, use some beer with the cooking, which is kind of fun.
Yes. Yeah, awesome. Sounds like we have a comment.
Yes, one of our viewers was mentioning that she loves the Genio taco seasoned ground turkey for nachos and chili.
That's a great idea. That also just cuts down on one of those steps. So you don't have to buy the seasoning packet, it's already seasoned. Just brown it and it's ready to go. So great for tacos, great for walking tacos, great for really anything.
Yeah. And two, up at the Green Bay North Store, we have this incredible selection of different Hispanic foods and options. And I am a big fan of corn tortillas, where I just try to, I like the texture of it, the taste of it, and we just have like so many fresh options here. It's just really incredible. So that's definitely something, if you haven't tried them before, is really good. Chili is one thing. People don't necessarily think of our bakery department for game day, and they probably should.
Oh yeah, especially like I was mentioning before. I mean, this is kind of a whole day ordeal as far as, the game's at 2. So we're going to be, getting ready at noon and then maybe staying after. So we want maybe some of those sweet treats throughout the day. And the bakery just takes the guesswork out of it, where you don't have to, buy your box cake mix or even look up a recipe or think of an idea. Just stop by the bakery. We've got tons of really fun options and they're very impressive, I will say. So lots of great things just to grab and go and bring to your party, and even just for breads. So if we're maybe doing, a soup or a chili, or maybe sandwiches, stop by our bakery and pick up some of our fresh bread too.
And I know one bread that's really a big hit at my house is our sprouted grain bread. And that's something that I know that the Mealtime Mentors are big fans of as well. Maybe you can tell us why.
So we've got a couple varieties of sprouted grain breads, and we also have buns. So perfect if you are doing the hamburgers, sloppy joes, pulled pork sandwiches, things like that. Our sprouted grain breads are awesome because number one, they just taste really, you can attest.
Yep.
They taste really good. They're a little bit grainy, but not too grainy. But what's cool about sprouted grains, and they're popular, is because there's actually an enzyme in the sprouted grains that makes them partially sprouted. So basically, it's a little bit easier for us to digest, and it helps us absorb those nutrients better. So overall, sprouted grains are super good for us, and they taste awesome too.
Right. And Lauren mentioned the fact that you don't want to be tied down to, or tied to the kitchen and having to continually check on things. With the weather expected to be, knock on wood, a little bit nicer this weekend in the Green Bay area, I think some people might be rolling the grill out. Which,
oh yeah, we will be.
which is definitely not unheard of, but we had the grill out last weekend, so considering it was like, in the single digits, it's definitely possible again this weekend. But one thing that you don't have to pay too much attention to, is just really good, is our towering T-bone from our meat department. That's, number one, an impressive cut of meat. We'll be sure to include a link on this post to that. But it's one of those things where you put it on the grill and you just walk away, and 45 minutes later you pick it up and it's awesome and it's done.
We just tried this 2 or 3 weeks ago. And what's great about it is there's 2 of us, and between the 2 of us we couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
So we really needed a third person, which is awesome because it's going to feed a lot of people, especially if you've got other things, other side dishes, it can feed a couple people, and like you said, it's just really impressive.
Well, and two, obviously many of you know that our meat department has so many options for game day, and game day wings, I know, is a big favorite of many of our fans. And since we're playing the Atlanta Hawks this weekend, what better way to mark the occasion than eating wings? But we talked about in a previous Facebook Live kind of making those in the oven and doing them kind of over a sheet so that the grease kind of drips down, so you're not having soggy wings. But we have so many different options when it comes to those, and so many great things that you could pair it with. Our deli is stocked with different types of salads. You got everything from bow tie pasta to potato salad, you name it, so you can kind of take care of everybody.
Yeah, the deli is great. Everything, we always grab dips, which are really nice. You can also grab a veggie tray and a fruit tray from our produce department, which are great. There's a couple different sizes, anywhere from $6 to $10 for a veggie tray. And the fruit trays, you can get even bigger ones. So really nice just to grab one of those, set it out, and that makes it really easy.
And then you're done, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and as long as you've got variety and a big spread, a little bit of something for everybody, you can't ask for anything more than that.
Well, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Festival Foods tortilla chips that we make in-house. And I brought to our last Packers party, and we went through the bag like nobody's business.
Oh yeah.
It's just flavorful and light and crispy, and I'm a big fan of the guac too that we have. And I know holy guacamole is another really good option as well.
And I personally, I just love making my own guac. My husband loves it, so I just continue to make it. And we've got a couple great recipes on our blog. blog.festfoods.com is where you can go. A lot of fun recipes. Just a quick tip about guac, because it's one of those things, again, you're going to leave it out, and sometimes it can get brown. If you just leave the pit in from the avocado, if you are making your own guac, it'll actually slow down that browning. So just a fun tip, and it looks really gourmet, so I highly recommend it.
And buying avocados might look intimidating, but what should people look for if they want to make their own when it comes to picking out an avocado?
Yep, you definitely got to pick it up. See if it's yields to pressure. If it's a little bit soft, then it's ready to go. If you're maybe shopping today or tomorrow for Sunday, you want to pick out one that's just a little bit harder. If you get to Saturday and you're like, ooh, this isn't quite soft enough yet, throw it in a brown paper bag with maybe a banana or an apple. Just lightly seal it up, and it should be ready to go for Sunday.
And it's just like Lauren said, super fun to make, super good to eat, and good for you.
Yeah, you can throw in a ton of veggies. That's why I like making my own, is I can throw in some red onions, some tomato, garlic. I mean, really whatever you have on hand, just throw it in there, and it's a fun dip that everybody loves.
So a dip that you can get here, make yourself. Same thing goes for our deviled eggs. I could easily take down an entire container of those, but people can make them at home, or you can get them here too, which is the beautiful thing about having so many already made options.
Yeah, and it really depends. I mean, maybe if you're hosting the big party and you've got to make a couple things, you're a little bit more tight on time, versus if I'm going to a party and I'm going to bring something, I might pick something up, or I might pick something up and actually make something. Just depends on time, but it's fun to do both.
Good, and we have plenty of options, like Lauren said. Festfoods.com/tailgating. We have plenty of options online as well, and be sure to follow us. Hopefully you're already following us on Facebook where you're watching this live, but we're at Fest Foods on Instagram, and we are on Fest Foods on Twitter as well. So follow along, and I think that hopefully you're cheering with us as we are going our way into the weekend.
Yeah, go Pack.
All right, thanks guys.
Bye.